My husband just yelled at me, don't forget to click on mute. Because last week I forgot to click on mute and the two of us are talking and we're
Oh,
just
that's funny.
going. Hi, James.
Hi, Mary. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, as I posted that we were going to do this, and I put the links up and everything because I'm getting more technically savvy. It's pretty wild.
I like that.
I know. And I said that I don't have any bread, milk, or eggs, so I have to go to the store, which someone took seriously, and I was joking. Um, and you're sleeping at the radio station tonight. Are you doing that?
Well, I would call it sleeping, but I'll be here a long time putting in best ofs for the weekend.
And then are you going back tomorrow?
Yeah. Not here. I'm working at my other job, my little music store job tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Well, it's going to be closed tomorrow, right? Probably. Well,
Um,
no, the snow's not
no.
coming till the afternoon, till Friday
Right. It's
afternoon.
not evening yet, so we're still good.
Oh, hold on. That's my husband texting me. I forgot to put
Oh.
it on text. Let's see what he says. Come
Ooh.
down one on your light. My light's too bright, apparently. How's that, babe? Better?
I never realized this room is so dark in here. I had to take off my hat
It's
to get anything going.
looked like you were in a dungeon. It was very, very dark. So anyway, for those of us who are just joining us, I did a show with James in Atlantic City probably about 8 years ago now. Can you believe it? And
Yeah.
James is my producer, and he's producer extraordinaire. And we had so much fun doing the show. So when I decided to do this, I called up James and said, "Hey, you got some free time?" And he's like, "Yeah, I only work 3 jobs. I'm cool." And so we're trying to find a night that we could do this like every week that will work with James's crazy, insane schedule. And of course, this week it almost didn't happen because we're getting a snowstorm and everybody's freaking out because I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but I looked online. Did you look online for the different snow amounts? So if I go, because you and I are in the same, even though we're both on the coast, but at opposite ends of the coast. So I go online and I go to my weather.com, Weather Underground, which is the Weather Channel bot, right? So
Yeah.
they're saying I have a winter storm warning. We have gale force winds, like 30, 35-mile-an-hour winds. Okay. So they're saying 5 inches of snow total from Friday night to Saturday night. It's like 24 hours, 5 inches of snow. That's not a big deal.
No.
It's not a snow. So then I go to there's two different places on the internet that on Facebook that I go to for two different weather forecasts. One says we're getting like 10 to 12 inches of snow, and the other one said 1 to 3. And then Weather Underground is saying 5. I'm very
That's a pretty broad range.
confused. Isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm very confused.
Well, yesterday's model said it could have been anywhere from 4 to 40, depending on whose models you took.
I
And
saw
then,
that. I saw that
yeah,
and I was like, wow.
that's pretty
A
disparaging. And
lot.
today it narrowed down here. I heard from 8 to 12. So that's, a little more normalized. But
But
I
8
haven't
to
heard
12,
less than 8 down here.
let me check right now. 8 to 12 is like a little crazy, don't you think?
Yeah, for a short town, that's rough. I mean, they're usually not even built for that. That's a strain on the infrastructure.
But yeah, I mean,
Foot
well,
of
8 to
snow.
12, 8 to 12, nobody's going to go out.
Right.
Um,
And it means if you're a radio producer, you're making a lot of best of content.
yeah, a snow map with a forecast discussion at 5 o'clock. So I click on this thing and they're saying we're set up for a kaboom, which would be
Is that a bomb cyclone or
10,
something silly?
10 to 10 to 14 inches of snow with locally higher amounts possible.
Yeah. They're having
And
a
we
real
have
hard
a
time with this storm.
flood warning too because we live on the coast, so it floods all
Yeah.
the time. And so
It
I
really
have a flood
matters.
warning and a gale
Yeah.
warning.
It's all that matters where this storm hugs. If it hugs farther east, we're doomed. If it sneaks a little farther west out to sea, we'll get, some snows no matter what. But
Yeah, and that's exactly what
so
the difference between the two of them. One's saying it's going to go farther west, and they're going to get 6 to 12 inches, and we're going to get 1 to 2. So it's going to be interesting to see which one of these is right because I follow
right,
both of them. So it's going to be
right.
interesting to see what happens with that. So that's that.
That
So
original Euro model had us getting a ton. So
the European model. Is that what
The
you
original
said?
Euro models were like the ones that were saying we were getting like 3 feet originally. I was like, okay,
It's a bit much. You know, because my
yeah,
husband's always he's always on call whenever we get like the largest snowstorm of the year. So
yeah,
I'm always in the driveway with long underwear, tights, snow pants, long underwear top, turtleneck, jacket, all bundled up with my boots and everything else with the snowblower in the driveway. And I swear our neighbors they must look at me and they're like, that poor woman, because they see me lugging in wood to keep the fire going in the
yeah,
winter. So I'm like Laura
yeah.
Ingalls on the prairie. And then they look out and there I am in the driveway, all bundled up with a snow blower going. That poor woman.
But I'm always amazed too, like how many people you just said it right. You got to layer up when you go outside for this stuff, right?
Oh
That's how you deal
yeah.
with the cold. You got to layer
Yeah.
up, people. It's all about
Yeah,
layers.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, since we have to make it quick tonight because poor James is at the radio station and would like to get back to his parents' basement sometime before, 2 a.m.
Yeah,
So,
quickish.
so I only had two things that we were going to talk about, and one of the things that we do is we try to do some news, like we try to do news that you probably haven't heard, because everybody knows about Russia, Ukraine, blah blah blah. I'm so done with that. I'm so OD'd on all of that. So like a story or two that you haven't heard, and then we'd like to do something more fun or something that has nothing to do with news at all, although it's kind of newsy. So this story is by Technofog and it's on Substack, which Substack is very interesting, by the way. That's a pretty interesting. That became very interesting very quickly.
Okay.
So I'm just going to read part of this to you. They said yesterday, special counsel John Durham provided a discovery update to the court in the Michael Sussman case. In the filing, he disclosed that his team has obtained a tremendous amount of information ranging from a variety of sources, including Perkins Coie, the Hillary Clinton campaign, and former DNC/Clinton lawyer Mark Elias. Sussman has been charged with giving false statements to then FBI General Counsel James Baker regarding the Alpha Bank Trump Organization hoax. Because that whole thing was made out of, pure BS. And this is in bold. Durham notes that the government also maintains an active, ongoing criminal investigation of Sussman's conduct. Now, they go on to say Sussman's criminal conduct is likely not limited to false statements, because if it was, why would they still be investigating? Right?
Right.
Either you did or you
Sure.
didn't. They
Right.
said it may have to do with the conspiracy to accuse the Trump organization of having secret back channel communications with Alpha Bank. Evidence that Durham and his team have secured grand jury testimony from. All right, well, they have completed interviews. I'll do this one with the following individuals: former FBI General Counsel James Baker, which, by the way, you have not seen him. He has not shown up on MSNBC. He's not on CNN. He's laying low. He's quiet. And I think that
Smart.
that's very telling. More than 24 other current and former FBI employees, current and former employees of CIA and DARPA, 12 employees of the internet companies referenced in the Sussman indictment, the former chair of the DNC and Clinton law firm Perkins Coie, who left, by the way, once Sussman was indicted. He beat feet and left the law firm. A former employee of the Clinton campaign, current and former employees of Georgia Tech, and it says involved in the Alpha hoax, an employee of Tech Executive One, also known as Rodney Jaffe, a Sussman client who assisted with the Alpha Bank hoax. Durham has obtained records or documents from the Hillary Clinton campaign, Perkins Coie, Hillary for America, Fusion GPS, a PR firm that advised Perkins Coie regarding public statements about Sussman's meeting with James Baker, phone logs for numerous current and former FBI employees, a classified memo and related reports of interviews pertaining to a criminal investigation previously conducted by the U.S. Department of Justice regarding a potential leak of classified information.
Yikes.
But I wonder if that's the leak to the New York Times that James Comey did, remember?
Oh, could be, yeah. Now remind me,
He
what's Alpha Bank again?
Alpha Bank, when they said that they found servers to the Trump from the Trump campaign to Alpha Bank, and it was the Russians, and the Russians were funneling money through
Oh,
Alpha
right.
Bank
Okay.
to
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
to the
Yep. I got you.
Trump
Yep. No,
campaign.
I
It
got
was
it.
all total
Yep.
BS made up by the Hillary Clinton
Yep.
campaign.
Yep.
And he has also secured almost 400 emails between the FBI and Perkins Coie from January 2016 through June of 2017.
Ugh.
Now, Durham in January of this year, so this month, Durham learned from the DOJ Inspector General that they, the DOJ, the IG, possessed 2 FBI cell phones of the former FBI General Counsel to whom the defendant, Sussman, made his alleged false statement, along with forensic reports analyzing those cell phones. Durham's team is going through those cell phones now to analyze the contents.
Tricky.
During this, Durham states the government, quote, the government expects to receive additional information and documents in the coming weeks that may be relevant to the charged conduct. All I know is I saw the name Hillary Clinton quite a few times.
I got to tell you, the Hillary campaign had a real problem the first time around, and definitely got Trump a lot of votes. I think a lot of those swing votes when they got Bernie during the primary, when they Deborah Wasserman Schultz, and then she got let go from the campaign from the DNC, and then Hillary Clinton got her on as her campaign manager. I thought right then should have been a problem for people.
You think?
That should have been a little bit of a wake up call for people, but that didn't do anything. So
They're talking about a Hillary Trump matchup in 24. They're floating her name to run in 24 because who else are they going to run? Kamala? Really? Kamala Harris? I mean, would she be any worse than Biden? Biden's a placeholder. Biden's not running anything. I firmly believe it's Barack Obama, Susan Rice, and the old crowd is behind Biden, and he just signs the papers they put in front of him, he is not making decisions. He's not running a damn thing. So would it be any different with Kamala Harris? I mean, I don't know if she would play along, but she seems to be okay as long as she keeps failing up. Right? She doesn't care. So she's going to get the money. She's going to be America's first female president, first, Black, first Asian, all the boxes she can check and get trophies for. So if she's not making the decisions, she doesn't seem to want to work anyway. She doesn't seem real fond of it. She doesn't do anything. So she could just sit back and collect the accolades and give a couple speeches here and there and travel all over the world for free. Why wouldn't she do it? Right?
you should run Tulsi Gabbard. They'd be so much smarter. She's so much more likable for the left. I mean, for the right as the left candidate.
Yes, but they will never run her ever.
No, of course not. No chance. No way. Not. They can't stand her.
Yeah, because she's not crazy enough.
Right. No, and she's smart. And people on the right actually respect her. So there's no chance that she'll do good on the left.
True, but they're alienating. They're alienating so many in the middle. They're alienating a ton of independents.
Right.
So I don't know how they win, but as Joe Biden said, it depends on who counts the votes. So I think that was a Stalin quote. So
if the right could get somebody who had the kind of ideas Trump's had with the kind of likability of somebody like a Tulsi Gabbard, who's an ex-military person and speaks middle of the road kind of conversation with people, man, that would be the greatest next president we could have. Right? That kind of likable, that kind of charismatic, likable person who also has that no nonsense sort of thing we're looking for,
So, but you just described Ron DeSantis, right?
Oh yeah, maybe. Is he ex-military?
I think he went. Didn't he
maybe.
go? Yeah, he's ex-military.
I've never seen him on national stage, so I don't know. I only know he's the governor of Florida. I've never seen him on a national stage try and take on a big issue. So yeah, I'd be interested to see that. Maybe. I think. Yeah. I don't know how likable he is, so I don't know.
I want to. He went to Yale. I know that. But he, Ron DeSantis, military career. He has a military career. Hold on. He was a Navy. He was in the Navy.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, there's a picture of. Oh, he's quite the cutie in his uniform. He's a good-looking dude.
Could be. Maybe. Yeah, it could be the right guy. Exactly.
Yeah, he's in the Navy. He was in the Navy. He was JAG.
Oh.
He was a lawyer. Yeah. Uh, Harvard-trained lawyer and officer who served as a prosecutor, defense attorney, international law attorney, and a judge advocate general corps officer.
But also, too, what the Trump appeal was? Trump had that outsider appeal, right? That's also maybe what. But, he wouldn't be the worst candidate in the world.
Who,
But
DeSantis?
somebody, yeah, but I'm just saying, you know what
I
I
like
mean? Like,
him.
the next greatest president, I think, to me, that really would hit would be somebody who had some of those qualities mixed with, some kind of outsider appeal mixed with, somebody who also could be that,
Yeah,
hard.
I know what you're saying.
We said this all the way back to the show. Getting somebody like that is so hard because why would you do this?
Right.
Why would you put yourself through all that?
I know so many people are like, you keep saying more people have to run. Why don't you run? And I'm like, because my mouth would get me in trouble in a day.
Right.
And Trump could pull it off because I have my jersey comes out, and because I do not suffer fools. And the older I get, the less patience I have for stupid people. And
Mm-hmm.
the world is apparently full of a shockingly large number of stupid people. And you
How
run
many
into
times?
them every day.
Every day. When
Every
I
day.
sit and watch people screwing over immigration all the time or whatever, and we've said this a million times and I've said it on air, none of them for years have gone after the business owners. None of them.
Right.
They just don't. Because they're all benefiting from using illegal immigration as slave labor for cheap labor. None of them want to. That's a suicide run for them as a politician to go after it, right? It's just a suicide run. So, here you are, these people bickering back and forth on TV and in, comment sections on Facebook about it, as if any of these politicians are going to do one thing about it. And we've heard Democrats in 2014, oh, we got to build walls. You got to have border security. They've all said it. And then when Trump tried to say it, they're all like, what? You got to have these open borders. You got to let these people in. So it's been a back and forth thing between two parties, all claiming that we have to have it at some point or another. And they've all kicked it around, but none of them have really done the real issue, which is go after the people who are hiring them. That would put a big dent in this problem.
So, but this is the thing, though. This is why you need
solve it, but put a big dent in it.
But this is why you need a Trump. You need someone who has, FU money, right? Who doesn't care, who can tell these big businesses that, go pound sand.
Right.
And Trump has that kind of money, but nobody liked him because everybody wanted someone who's going to tell me the truth. I want a politician who's just going to tell me the truth. That's what I want. And then you get a politician who tells you the truth and says, I don't care. I don't care. You're doing this. You're doing that, because that's the way you have to be. When you're running a business, which is America, which is huge, you need to you don't have time. When I was working a morning show in Jersey, I didn't have time to wait in line for my coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. I got in there. It was the same people every single day. The guy behind the counter was so good. He would have our coffee lined up with your name on it, right? Because he knew our names. He have exactly the way you want it. You put the counter on it and out you go. Because I don't have time. So if you're running the country, I don't have time to care about your feelings right now. Okay. And I will tell you, I thought Trump, when he needed to be sympathetic, like when you saw him with military families and things like that, I thought he struck the right tone. But he didn't strike the right tone with the people who were always used to people falling all over themselves for them, right? The ruling elites. He ticked off the ruling elites. He ticked off Hollywood. He ticked off people who are used to being kowtowed to, who are used to people going, oh my gosh, you're famous. Let me bring you in and give you a free meal. The poor guy on the corner who's living in the doorway next door doesn't get a free meal. But they're going to give it to, some Hollywood elitist or Nancy Pelosi or some, political elitist. And Donald Trump was like, screw you. I'm giving the meal to the other guy. You get nothing. Pay for it yourself. And they don't like that. So.
I've said it. If for no other thing that we can definitely agree on is that he clearly showed how broken Washington is, right? I mean, it's a pretty broken system. When they all had the chance to do the right thing, none of them chose it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. By the way, if you're listening and you want to leave comments, you can. They should pop up here, but they are not popping up across. Oh wait, I know what. Hold on, I have to bring them over, I think. Hang on. Oh, here we go. There are comments. Oh, look. Okay. My friend Jerry says he and Gail are watching on YouTube. Mario is watching. Phil says Michelle
Hello, everybody.
Obama. He says Michelle Obama should run or is going to run. And Aaron says, you're awesome. Oh, thank you. All right, so let's move on from politics. All right, can we do something like fun,
Oh,
kind of a little serious? And this is
please.
right. This is so in James's wheelhouse because James is a musician. He plays drums and has lugged drums around a lot of venues in Atlantic
Oh,
City and the Jersey Shore. So the Atlantic had a really good piece, and it's entitled "Is Old Music Killing New Music?" And I say this all the time. There are no great bands out there. So there's a radio station out in New York called Q104, right? Q1043, and they're classic rock. And I think they do classic rock better than any station I've ever heard. Now there are times when I get some classic rock and it's like more heavy metal stuff, and I'm like, and how many times can I listen to Ozzy Osbourne's? What is it? The Train.
Crazy
What is it?
Train.
Crazy
Crazy
Train. How
Train.
many? Yeah. How many times can I
It's
listen to
moving
that?
into classic rock. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they play classic rock and I love it. They have two for Tuesdays and it'll sometimes be like ELO but it's really good music. A lot of Creedence Clearwater, Southern rock bands, and it's just everything. But you can't, I mean, name me a band now, like that's like a classic band. The Jonas Brothers? I mean, not taking anything away from the Jonas Brothers, but
Well,
I,
you
I
remember the
think
Jonas Brothers, by the way. They're from the '90s, and you remember them. See what I mean? Like you can't name a modern band. You
right.
just remembered a '90s band that you thought nobody's going to remember. So that tells you something, by the way.
So
Yeah.
and this piece in the Atlantic, it's so cool. It's called "Is Old Music Killing New Music?" I highly recommend you read it because it's really too long to go into everything here. But
Yeah.
what they says here, old songs now represent 70% of the US music market. And this is according to the latest numbers from MRC Data, which is a music analytics firm. The new music market, they say, is actually shrinking. All the growth in the music market is coming from old songs now. The 200 most popular new tracks regularly account for less than 5% of total streams. Current list of the most downloaded tracks on iTunes is filled with the names of bands from the previous century.
I buy that for a couple reasons. I
Why?
think that these numbers are a little skewed for a couple reasons. One, because I just think more people are there's other ways still to get music that isn't streaming. So I think that has to account for something, right? There's an
Okay.
album, 12%, about 12% of music sales right now are in albums, and I think anybody buying albums right now, I don't know. I don't know what that demographic or what that breakdown is, so I can't tell you what that is.
I have it in
Also,
here.
there isn't a record company like the way we thought of record companies, right? That system the way it used to go doesn't work anymore. You don't
Right.
have the process of bands getting signed by record companies, get pushed through radio stations, and music gets filtered out, and it's somewhat set up by genres. That's not exactly the way the music business works anymore. So all those older bands had a much more distinct advantage of having songs that you love being pushed down your throat in a situation to where it's what you heard and you know
Right.
how we
Right.
learn about music.
Right. Right.
So people now will learn about music through a million different ways, and there's all these amazing opportunities, but I think there's less of a thing of where um everybody gets it. I think now people are targeting their music to very, very limited demographics and maybe doing as well. They're doing well financially because they get a bigger cut and they don't have record companies cutting in between. Maybe they don't get as many streams, but they're able to navigate a new market. I mean, I just think the business is also a little different. I'm not saying that that's not a better or worse that old music is better than new music because I do have a lot of gripes with new music, but or at least new
Yeah.
pop music, it's here to say. But I mean, you know, it is
Well,
also a different business too. It's just not
right.
like it was. It's not like it's like running the exact same way. And these people just aren't performing as well as the old people. They also are doing it a different way.
Right.
So
Well, Jerry says it's because the new stuff sucks. And Aaron says there's very little musical artistry nowadays. The new artists are more concerned with being a brand, which may have something to do with it. The author here talks about going into a retail store. The young kid at the cash register was singing along with Sting on Message from a Bottle, a Message in a
Yeah.
Bottle, which is from 1979.
Yeah.
It was
Please. Yeah.
blasting. Yep. He said he was at a diner. The entire staff was under 30, but every song that was playing was over 40 years old. He said, I asked the server, why are you playing this old music? And she said, oh, I like these songs.
Right.
I was having a conversation with someone who was talking, a younger person who was saying, oh, that's Journey. Turn it up. I love Journey. You like Journey? I'm like, we knew Journey when Steve Perry was actually with the band. Like
Right.
they were, it's like they were discovering something new, and I was like, "Oh, that's so cute." I remember it the first time around.
Do you know that famed Rick Beata, he's a famed producer. He does this amazing show called on his channel called What Makes a Song Great. He's just a really interesting guy. He did a thing on Spotify, just on that platform in 2022 of all the classic rock bands, and it doesn't count for every single one, but do you know who the most relevant rock band was in 2022 on Spotify as far as downloads? It wasn't the Beatles, by the way. I'll give you that one away.
Was it Journey?
Nope.
No.
Might be shocking. I was
Aerosmith?
shocked. It wasn't even Queen.
Oh yes, because the movie.
They had the movie, yeah, and they gained a little
Right.
experience and ended up with a couple other little things. I mean, but it was amazing to see like some of our hero bands, like were how many millions of downloads they were getting, in that year.
Yeah, but because of the movie. Journey made a comeback because of The Sopranos, right? The last episode, the song, right?
That
That
gave them a bump at that time, yeah.
totally relaunched Journey. He also talks here about the Grammy Awards when they were postponed. He's like, nobody cared. Nobody cared. In 2021, viewership for the Grammys was 8.8 million. A decade ago, 40 million people watched the Grammys. It's down to 8.8. I don't watch it because I don't like to see a lot of self-congratulatory people who mean nothing to me.
Well, I think yeah, well, you're at an age now too where I think like it's aging
watch it,
out of
watch
interest.
it, watch it.
Well, right. I mean, we're aging out of it. I mean, because we're not interested. They're not going to start holding a lot of artists that I think we care about. And I don't think younger people are too concerned. There's a middle period of kids that might have some. I mean, it's just going to, it's irrelevant. It's sort of like a lot of these kind of talenty sort of things. I don't know. Miss America isn't as popular as it used to be.
No, none of these shows are because
right.
nobody. Hollywood used to be glamorous and stuff. Now they're just a bunch of uber liberals who were super wealthy and look down on the rest of us. You could tell. Look at Bette Midler's comments on Twitter. Look at Cher. Look at any of these people. They all look down their nose at us. I don't need to watch them congratulate themselves. I'm not taking time out of my day for that. I've got a house to clean. I got laundry to do. I don't have time for you.
Same thing that's going on with the music business. Why it's different than it used to be. It's also the same thing that's going on in any of these kind of entertainment businesses. You're never going to have a John Wayne or a Barbra Streisand or like these Michael Jacksons or these people that are so famous like that because we're so much more connected. Those people were invisible back in their day. Like when Barbra Streisand was just at any star like that, right? Say Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson couldn't walk out of his house. He couldn't walk down the street. He couldn't do anything, right? His life, he was trapped a prisoner and had to live this ridiculous life because he was that famous. Paul McCartney now walks around with what is his assistant / bodyguard and just lives his life nowadays because that kind of uber fame, even though he is that famous in that sense, he's one of those old stars. Nobody cares about that kind of fame anymore. Like, people don't, that kind of fame isn't that big anymore. At least in that, there's still some famous people, but you know what I mean? Like, we're so used to being able to connect to these kind of famous people on social media platforms, and it's just different now.
Well, ever since Kanye gave that old guy Paul McCartney a chance, and to launch his career. You remember that?
That's right. Yeah, totally.
And the youngsters are like, "Who is this guy? Isn't it nice that he gave some old dude up on the stage? Why do you call the old? But that old dude's pretty good." And people are like, "It's one of the Beatles, like Paul McCartney." And they're like, but see, that's something different too. And I want to go into some of this because you talked about format, and there's so many interesting statistics in here. But when we were kids, nobody had individual devices. You sat in the car and you listened to what your parents put on the radio, and that was that. So when I was a real little kid, I remember riding with my grandfather in his car, and I knew all the old songs that he listened to because he would put them on the radio, and for him, they were oldies at the time, right? And I knew
Yeah.
them all. To this day, I can still sing Red Roses for a Blue Lady. I was like 4 years old and I could sing Red Roses for a Blue Lady. I had no, because those were this music he listened to. So now, if you only listen to what you want to consume, you don't know anything from before you were alive. You have no concept of the Beatles and of that kind of music or anything like that. Anything like that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on. Jerry
But you
said,
might also
unless you had a transistor radio. Yeah, but of course, I had a radio in my room, but and we listened to WABC, right? Because they had the countdown, the Hot 100 countdown every New Year's Eve. The Dan Ingram and all that. That was the big station. But in the car, when you were with the family, you were trapped, and that's why I knew the Beatles, and that's why I knew a lot of these
yeah.
older. Frank Sinatra, totally classic. I love Frank Sinatra because I grew up with my parents playing Frank Sinatra. That's
Yeah.
Dean Martin, all that stuff. I was obviously behind the curve on that. That's not my era, but I know it all because I grew up with it. You don't have that anymore because kids just put in some earbuds and they put on their device and they tune out anything that they don't want to listen to, which we had to listen to it. It wasn't a choice.
They also can have pretty varied taste though, because they're picking up songs out of a TV show, out of a commercial, out of this, and it showed up in something I'm watching on Netflix. I mean, so they can get a pretty weird, varied taste, but also with no history behind it.
So now you talked about format. According to this piece in The Atlantic, the best-selling physical format in music is the vinyl LP.
Yeah.
He says, I've seen no signs that the record labels are investing in newer, better alternative because it's old is viewed to be superior in almost every aspect of music. Record stores are coming back big time. They used to market new music, but now they make more money from vinyl reissues and used LPs. And that's so true. I know someone who sold a ton of old albums to a music store. And they were so happy. They're like, yes, we want it. They're so happy to have it. Radio stations are putting fewer new songs into rotation, or they completely ignore it in favor of old hits. But you talked about the industry, like the record industry, Sony, and all of that. Motown's gone, right? Motown doesn't exist anymore, right?
If it is, it was bought by somebody. I don't think.
Yeah. They say the leading area of investment in the music business is old songs. You've got the song catalogs are the ones that are in most demand are musicians in their 70s or 80s, Bob Dylan, Paul Simon, Bruce Springsteen, or they're already dead like David Bowie and James Brown. Universal, Sony, Warner, and others are buying up publishing catalogs and investing huge sums in old tunes. In a previous time, that money would have been used to launch new artists. They're not doing that anymore. They're not launching new artists. They're buying up everything from the old artists from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Also, you have the technology for some of these old artists that are even dead to come back again in the form of holograms. They did that with Whitney Houston, right? And
Frank Zappa too.
Yeah, they went on tour, which I have to tell you, I think that's totally creepy. Like, yeah, I'm not going to that. Like, that's just weird.
It was odd.
Weird. Yeah. No, thank you. None of that. I don't need any of that. So, but I have this conversation all the time with younger people. I'm like, name me. And one of my friends, their daughter, she's got to be she's in her late 20s now, probably. She's in her late 20s, 28, something like that. And she said, I don't know what I'm going to do when I have children, because I can't ride around with them in the car with the music from my generation playing, because it's all lewd. Rap is very popular. I can't play rap in front of my 6-year-old kid, right? She's like, I can't play anything because of the lyrics. It's all so vulgar. She said, I'm going to have to, not all of it, obviously, I sound old, but she said, I'm going to have to play stuff from my parents' generation for my kids, because I can't play that old stuff from my generation for my kids, which I thought was interesting.
That is pretty funny, yeah.
It is.
Yeah, she can't play WAP. Yeah, it's not going to go over
well. No.
Yeah.
So a Facebook user.
By the way, look that up if you don't know what that song is. You'll find it fascinating, yeah.
Oh, Jerry says WABC, yes. Vinny, my buddy Vinny, says nothing like vinyl. Vinny. I know Vinny, the drummer, yeah. He's a drummer, yeah. Ben says, I remember trying to get my dad to listen to my music, and he said, "Son, there hasn't been a good record made since Glenn Miller's plane disappeared."
That's awesome.
Now that I'm him, I
Glenn Miller's
understand
plane disappeared.
exactly what he meant. Oh, I could do this. Look at that.
Oh, that's
Jerry says, "Yeah, you know that stuff from the 1900s."
yeah,
I,
exactly.
I, for, I forgot I had the ability to show your comments, so I apologize to everyone because I forgot. So, so anyway, but I just thought this was such a fun conversation. How because it's so true, and I listen to Q1043, and by the way, you could stream it from anywhere. So if you're not in the New York, metro listening area, I just think it is a phenomenal station if you like classic rock.
Yeah.
So
You want my quick hot take about what that leads right into?
go ahead. Oh, I know where you're going to go. Go
Yeah.
ahead. I think I know.
So I have a hot take on this whole Joe Rogan Neil
Yep.
Neil Young thing.
Yep. That's what I
I
thought. Yeah.
I think this is way more of a marketing ploy than it is a real stand. Here's the thing.
For
For
whom?
Neil Young. Well, first of all, Joe Rogan doesn't give a crap. So I mean, he hasn't bashed Neil Young or come out
Right.
and told Neil Young to go. He doesn't give a crap. So start there, right? And I think Neil Young, who first of all doesn't like the sound of streaming products to begin with, and is an audiophile in every way. He has on his own site a way to stream his audio in incredible audio, real good audio. I think this was a much better way for Neil to just, do a little virtue signaling and
Mm-hmm.
then get people to go to his, preferred medium. I think it was a real
Huh.
nice marketing ploy. A great marketing ploy. I mean, look how much attention this is
Wow.
drawing. Everybody's talking about it. And by the way, how much virtue signaling are you seeing on Facebook with all these people going, "I'm going to listen to a lot of Neil Young this week"? And I'm like, okay, really? Okay.
Wow, I didn't see that coming.
By the way, I love Neil Young, and if that's the way he feels, that's great. But I mean, whatever. I mean, that's fine. He's an American, allowed to speak his mind. So kudos. But this feels like I don't know.
Hmm.
He doesn't
That's
do
a
a
little.
lot of he doesn't make any money on Spotify. So this isn't a big loss for him in any way. He makes all his money through his own website, way through other channels. And he's the kind of guy who people would buy albums from. That's way more of the guy who's going to make money off albums than he is from Spotify.
I
So this
just find
isn't
it.
like a okay.
No. I was just because I think this is a tad cynical, and I'm shocked that you would say you think he's trying to do it to get someone to buy his catalog because they just bought Springsteen's and they bought this one and that one. And he wants someone to buy his.
Yeah, I just think he doesn't care enough about Spotify. I think it was just a good chance for him to sort of flex a little liberal, virtue
Hmm.
signaling out there that, oh, look how much I'm standing up for the liberal thing. And meanwhile, he gets all this good marketing and then pushing people right to his own site.
Yeah, maybe. And one of
You
the other
really think
things that
he cares that? I just find it hard that he would care as an artist that much about his thing to pull it. It's unfathomable to me he would care that much.
I don't know. I don't know him, so I can't really say.
I don't either. I don't personally know
Oh
him
well, all
either.
right.
It just seems
Okay.
I've never met the man. I've never interviewed him, but it seems like a guy who's sort of built a life on free speech. Seems odd that his whole free speech take would be like,
Wait, how many? Whoa! How many musicians were in the '60s against the man and always for freedom and free
that's
speech
what
and
I mean.
everything else? And now they're all, look at Bernie Sanders was one of them, and look at him. He wants to censor everybody. They're all a bunch of hypocrites. You get old, you become a hypocrite if you're a liberal. Just saying.
What? Hey, it absolutely could be right, but I mean, this also feels like a great way to get people to go where you want them to go.
Eh,
He's
maybe.
not a
So
Spotify fan.
wait, how can we do that? Can we do that somehow?
What?
I don't know. To
Virtue signal?
monetize this. Yeah, no, let's monetize this. How do we do this? Who are we going to boycott? Let's boycott somebody. Who can we boycott?
Boycotting Rogan seems to make you a lot of money. Isn't that?
There you go. Let's just boycott Joe Rogan. So
We're sending him messages on the side. Hey, we really love you, Joe. We're trying to make a couple bucks.
So, okay, I don't want this to go too long because I know you're still at work and you have to work, but my husband has to get back to work because he stopped doing it while I'm on the air because I'm in the living room right
Oh,
now.
that's so nice. He's
And
the
he has to
best.
go in and out the front door because he's taking down the Christmas decorations.
Love it.
Wait,
Never
wait.
ends for him.
Because we bought like an artificial tree to go out on the porch. Like we have an enclosed porch and the artificial trees out there. Our Christmas decorations went up. Our Christmas tree, the real tree, went up a week ago yesterday.
That's so you. I love it. I know.
And we decorated everything else because we had, I had COVID in the beginning of November, beginning of December, so I had that going on. I was really sick, and then we went to Virginia to go visit friends, and we were there for 5 days, and then it was Christmas, right? And we had friends come and stay with us, and then we went up to Lake George for New Year's, and then our friends left after New Year's. So all of a sudden, it's after New Year's, and we haven't decorated for Christmas yet. We're like, oh, and the tree was outside in the bucket. And we had a get together this past weekend for Christmas, like a belated Christmas party we do every year, and with different people. So it was some neighbors this year. And my husband had to hack the ice off the tree. He couldn't get it out of the bucket, so we could put it up last Wednesday. And somebody who works in his office drove by the house the last night or the night before, and the tree on the porch is all lit up because it just comes on automatically. All the candles are still in the window. There's lights that we've draped on the scaffolding that have been outside our house because the scaffolding's been there for over a year. And so we decorated that. And she drove by and said, it's the 25th of January, not the 25th of December. Like, oh, maybe we should take the decorations down. So he's been coming in and out the front door and taking the lights in from outside. So I told him he had to be quiet just while I do this because he was slamming the door.
That's awesome. My parents had their decorations down on the second or the third, I think.
No, you can't take it down to the 6th, which is the Feast of the Epiphany. You don't take it down before Little Christmas when the wise men came to see Jesus. No, they stay up at least till the 6th, or in our house, the 6th of February.
6th of February, yeah. Right.
The tree is still alive, believe it or not. Our Christmas tree is still alive because it was outside dormant in a bucket frozen. We brought it in. It's drinking every day. It's still going. It's still going.
Tree. That's one.
It is very good. I got it at the fireman here in town. Jerry says the same people who said question authority when we were kids tell you that if you question authority, you're an insurrectionist. Erwin says boycott NPR. Amen to that. I want to stop paying NPR. I want my tax dollars to stop going to NPR. Why do my tax dollars go for crappy programming?
And you can't take away my Science Friday.
Your what?
My Science Friday. Come on.
They'll still have Science Friday. They own Sesame Street. Do you know how much money they make off of Sesame Street?
No.
And if Science Friday is so good, they can sell advertising like everyone else.
Okay.
Thing.
As long as I get Science Friday.
Facebook user says at this point, Mary, we think that you should take them out. Who's just saying, "Oh, that's my neighbor." That's my neighbor. Anne-Marie awesome. Says at this point, we think you should just take them down. That's because her stuff was down last week, but her stuff goes up like the day after Thanksgiving, and it's beautiful. It's just got Christmas trees in like every room in the house, and it's gorgeous. February, and she also says February 6th is not a thing. This is very true, but that's what I'm aiming for. Let's see, who's this? Erwin says National Panhandler Radio. Linnea says no taxes to NPR. And Anne-Marie says National Propaganda Radio. I love it. See, we don't want to pay for it. So if your Science Friday is so good, they can get advertisers.
Scientists not to get advertisers?
It's amazing geeks, how people.
Mary. They don't know how to get. They're geeks. They don't know how to shop advertisers. They have little glasses and little nerds with clipboards. They're gonna be like, pay for this. How much?
Well, that's why NPR has a sales team, and they can sell advertising instead of giving me a tote bag if I donate another $50 on top of all my tax money that goes there. I think I should get a tote bag. They're getting my money. I should get a tote bag anyway.
It's true.
Just saying. All right, I want to let you go back to work. So thank you. So we're going to say goodbye. Hold on. I have to get my thing here because I'm still learning how to. Is it under here? Oh, I have it. Okay. So we're going to try to do this Thursdays, right? Is that the day we're shooting for now? Thursdays, 7:15 is what we're going to shoot. And we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook, Mary Walter Radio, on Mary Walter, I think it is. Not my personal page. There's a public
Yeah,
page.
the
It's there, right? It's also in my group on Facebook as well, because I got the program we're using. I'm only paying $25 a month. If I want to stream it on more than 3 places, I have to pay more. So maybe when we become rich and famous, or NPR starts spending money for advertising for us, we could sell tote bags for $50. What do you think?
We'd be a good fit on NPR.
No, NPR is horrible. What are you talking about? We're not a good fit on NPR. They would never have us. They would never have us. We're way too not liberal for them. So. All right, I gotta go because the cats are here. They want to be fed dinner. Oliver's circling. He's gonna sew. I will see you next Thursday, 7:15. Thank you to everyone who joined us. We really appreciate all the comments. Thank you. Have a fantastic. Well, I've got to get. Hold on. I have to get rid of this first. Hang on. I got to get rid of this first. Or Neil Young CDs. Yes, we could sell Neil Young CDs. I'm learning how to do this. So okay.
You're doing great.
Have a good one. Bye.
Bye, everybody.